Welcome to EDUC 291. We are going to review the portfolio, which is due at the end of this course. When you log into your course, you're going to click on Learning Modules, and then you're going to scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see Practicum Portfolio. You'll also see Practicum Expectations. If you open up this document here, this is look-fors, so things that you can be looking for while you are doing your practicum time together with your cooperating teacher if you're in the traditional program. So look-fors is just, I try to direct your attention to certain things to be, and I'm using quotation marks, looking for while you're observing or teaming together and assisting. So hopefully this will start to drive your senses a bit of what to kind of heighten yourself to look for during your ops or during your time in the practicum. Obviously, if you're in the alternate practicum, you're not going to be looking for these in another teacher's classroom, but it really could be a time of reflection for yourself on, are you doing these things and how do you do them in your own classroom? If you look right here, you see the practicum portfolio. Click on this document and it will open the Word document for you, depending on where your downloads go on the computer. And this practicum document provides for you 3 or 4 things that need to be completed. You'll notice the first page has the traditional practicum. The second page has the alternate practicum. The same items are required for both the traditional practicum and the alternate. The difference is I've changed the word in the alternate practicum portfolio to your classroom. So you're still reflecting on the same items, just in the alternate practicum, you're reflecting in your own classroom, not a cooperating teacher. So I suggest that you print this out and you read through it and you walk step by step to complete your practicum portfolio. So let's give an example here. 1, during your observing and assisting phase, explore the cooperating teacher's room layout and classroom management plan. Reflect in a written journal on the following items. So I tried to provide items that you could reflect on that will easily get you a page. Daily schedule, layout of the room, description of classroom rules, positive rewards and consequences, daily routines, and how the teacher redirects students. Those of you in the alternate practicum, you will see reflect in a written journal about your classroom management and classroom layout. Think about the following items. It's the exact same items. With each number in your portfolio, again, there's 4 items, there's an application piece. The application piece is going to require you to add additional information. If it can be done in a Word document, you can add it right into your reflection. Otherwise, you'll have to upload a second document. For the application for number 1, it's saying use your experience during the practicum and classroom management plan you created in EDUC 101. Create a PowerPoint that would introduce your class to your classroom management expectations during the first week of school. It is really important to note this PowerPoint is for your students. Please do not provide me a PowerPoint that explains routines and expectations. I'm going to show you an example right now. So if we go back to our learning modules and we click on module 2, you're going to see that I have samples of what your portfolio journal should look like, as well as some samples of the application pieces that I'm asking for. So let's go ahead and click on a sample of your portfolio. Your reflection journal for each of the 4 items can be completed in one Word document. You'll notice this particular student, because they were in a physical classroom, were able to take pictures and upload them. You certainly could take pictures of an online classroom. Just watch out for student names. They provided all of the daily routines, things that they were seeing in with the teacher. And then you'll see the next one. Journal 2. It's just a running document. So you don't have to create a separate Word document for each item, but instead you can create one running document for your reflective journal. The classroom management. If we go ahead and open up that PowerPoint sample, you will see that this teacher, this is a really great example of what she created, this is what she's going to show the students for those first 2 weeks of school as she's beginning to introduce policies and procedures. The idea behind this assignment is that you're creating something so when you get a job, or those of you that are just continuing to teach in your classroom next year, you are ready for those first few weeks of school. Obviously, if you get a position at a school that might be a little different, have a different philosophy, you might have to tweak a couple of your routines, but at least you have the bones of it together, have really thought through these, and it will help you organize yourself for those first days of school. So kind of what are the priorities of the classroom? What is our morning routine going to look like? Again, you'll notice the teacher did not provide detailed explanation because this PowerPoint's going to support when she's instructing in front of the class. How are we going to do folders? How are we going to do water bottles? How are we going to do books and journals? Morning chart, what's that going to look like? How do we sign up to let the teacher know what lunch I'm bringing? Again, a morning meeting. I will tell you, this is even more important for you to be thinking through right now, because those of you who will be starting teaching positions in the fall, 99%, I believe, are going to be starting in a hybrid format. So thinking through what your classroom will look like will help you transition these routines to what it's going to look like for a hybrid format if the kids are coming in 2 days a week and having to do work online 3 days a week. Okay, so that's what that looks like. The application piece for assignment number 2 of your, let me close some of this out, of your portfolio asks you to take a lesson plan and to revise that lesson plan. So we're going to click here, and I just provided you a screenshot of what it would look like. So what I would love for you to do is take a lesson plan. Typically it's a lesson plan that I observed for you, and then you would go in and modify that. Might be a little difficult for those of you who are in the alternate practicum and have just provided enrichment activities, but certainly maybe from the feedback I give you, you might be able to go in and tweak that lesson plan. Either way, it could be a lesson plan you created for some of your other classes that now that you've had more experience in the classroom, you can go back and reflect on it and say, how would I change this lesson to make it better? You can use, obviously, the comments feature or the editing feature within Word to create edits, or you could simply just change the color of the wording to blue to let me know where you've gone back, reflected on this lesson, and changed it. The purpose of this is that in education, we are constantly reflecting on what's being done. So at the end of each day, I always, as a classroom teacher, went back to my lessons that I had done for that day. And in my lesson planning book, I would jot notes. Okay. The assessment was not appropriate for this group of students. They had difficulty with X, Y, and Z. This lesson was really engaging. Students were right on top of it. I want to make sure to implement this again next year. So by reflecting on that information, it allows you to go ahead and say what is working, what's not working, what do I need to tweak for my students. If you look on for number 3, the application is using the information you've learned about differentiation, provide strategies that you will implement in your classroom. This can be created right within that reflective journal that you're creating. You can just expand on that number 3. So write a page reflecting on your experience, and then underneath it, talk about those differentiation styles. And then finally, based on the new information learned during your soloing phase, how will you approach lesson planning for the year, semester, unit, and day? What resources will you seek out in order to effectively lesson plan? So again, I really want you to step back, think about that lesson planning phase, and this again can be added right into that reflective journal. After you reflect on number 4, then you can just go ahead and type in there, what are you going to do for your lesson planning? If you have your own classroom now, again, think big picture. What did you learn this year or this semester that you've been teaching that is going to allow you or is going to impact you and how you lesson plan for the fall? If we don't think big picture for our lesson planning, students will not grow. So that's why I want you to step back and really reflect on that. It tends to be in our first year of teaching, we're kind of emergency planning. So like the night before, I'm planning for the next day. And as much as possible, we want to avoid that, because if I don't start looking long term and how I'm going to be instructing, I can't impact growth because I don't have an end goal that I'm trying to get students to for a unit. I'm just doing it day by day by day. So as we close this out, we just go back and we see that that is the contents of your practicum portfolio. You will go ahead and upload that into LiveText as well. Again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me.